Wow, thank you very much. It's good to have you again, Lady Ogeh Cynthia. Lady Ogeh Cynthia, the mental health therapist, transformational coach, a faith-based woman, a wife, and a mother. I think what makes you special also is the fact that you are really passionate about the mental health of the people of your community. So it's not just like what you practice, but in reality, like when I have conversations with you, I see that you really and truly you really want to see the lives of your people being transformed. You want to see a better um, community, especially the African community where you identify with. And for you, it's not just a paid support, it's a natural support. And so thank you for all you've done, all you're doing for our people. You're once again welcome to Relationship with M Shine. So today we are, of course, always talking about relationships and family, community, but we are looking on how our people has been affected, how relationships have been affected, how families have been affected, how the challenges at work, in school, boils down, zeroes down to the family, the negative report of a parent or of a dad being fired from work or applying for a particular job, doesn't seem to get a job, or relocates from back home over here and due to certain reasons are not able to secure that um, college admission or master's admission or being enrolled in certain special career that path that they want to feature, they want to work in. And we're talking about what is known as microaggression and um, discrimination, subtle discrimination, systematic discriminations that the minorities are crying about. I've heard people um, cry about it. I've heard people feel really disgusted. I've heard people break down. I've known persons who actually break down due to some kind of silent discriminations and all. So that is a topic that speaks so hugely to your heart, and I know that you and I are able to have some conversations about that. Like you and I already know, I that's not my turf, but I am African and an immigrant in the diaspora, and I have had my own fair share, and I believe you have had your own fair share. Honestly, the other day I was saying to myself, maybe I'll just go open my own company where I know that I can get discriminated against. But the thing is, even if I have my own company today, yeah, it might be a little bit mitigated because I have some measure of control, but I am still interacting with the outside world. I'm still interacting with the police force. I'm still interacting with the stores where I go to. I'm still interacting when I try to do business or in the banks. There's a lot of interactions. My kids are going to be interacting. So it's in every sphere, of our lives. As long as we belong in this community, in this in this part of the world, either in the States or in Canada, or maybe somewhere in Europe, um, there is no way. It is true that I'm not someone who cries wolf. It's true I'm not somebody who plays. I hate to play the victim card because I don't believe or see myself as a victim. But we cannot erase the fact that there is such a thing as discrimination among minorities, especially Black minorities or microaggression. And so, having said that, I'd like to say thank you and want you to tell me is what's your definition, what's your understanding of microaggression, what's your towards what's microaggression actually, and how does it affect your community?
Okay. Thank you, Emeka, for having me again. I feel so honored. I feel so privileged to be on your program again to talk about the things that is affecting our community. For
Mm-hmm.
those of your audience that do not know me, I would like to officially introduce myself.
Please
My
go
name
ahead.
is Ogeh Cynthia Onozulike. I am a mental health therapist in Canada. I am licensed in the province of Alberta and the province of Ontario. And I also do mental health consultation. I also, people call me, maybe they go see their doctor or they see their school counselor for their children, the
Mm-hmm.
school counselor for their children, and they just need a second opinion. I do those kind of consultation too. People call me, they get information and like more like a second opinion. I do
Yeah.
that too. And I also do education, coaching, and so many other things that is connected to transformation, moving somebody from point A to point B. I do all of that. And then when it comes to me being a mental health therapist, in our community, I like to see myself as a mental health therapist that is particularly focused on culturally competent, trauma informed mental health care for our people. Because I understand whether we want to see ourselves as victims or not, we are all we are all we are all part of the people that went through our ancestors went through slavery and colonialism, and we are all suffering from the effects of that, of the enslavement of Africans, and when Africa was colonized.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we want to believe it or not, we are all suffering from that. That was when people was placed in different categories, and
Mm-hmm.
people with black skin were placed almost at the bottom of that hierarchy. And that
Yeah.
is what is playing out today. The
Mm-hmm.
black life, the black experience, the black mental health, the black health care. It is no joke that even in the States where black women have more mortality rates in a country as westernized as the US,
Mm-hmm.
even in Canada, black women are dying giving birth in the US. It is a shame. The statistics is there. You can go read it. So there are so many things, and it's go back to a boys down. It move back again. Sorry, it goes down again to even mental health. Mental health.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
are do we take our mental health serious? You can go. You can a child might be having a behavioral issue in school.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of that child, maybe the child might have like maybe autism.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that child to be supported, they give the child a name. They can call the child like the child have like a defiant disorder or personality. Just give one name like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that child is automatically categorized as a problem child. Instead of that child getting the help and support that that child would need, they call the police. The child is seen as an aggressive child. So all these things are things that is happening within our community because most of our pains are not taken serious. Our pains are not, there's no room, there's no container given to us for our pain. And that is why it makes sense that we start having conversations. We are not sweeping things under the rug. Because when we talk enough about these things, when we amplify our voices enough, then the government will start taking notice and start creating policies in place that helps to manage these issues. Just like the indigenous people here, if you notice, they don't have the population that most blacks have in Canada, but they've managed to speak loudly about their pain.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they carry their matter for head like gala, but they are speaking about their pain in such a way that the government cannot ignore it. And the government is creating things in place to help them because their community is suffering. My hope is that we can speak loudly about our pain in such a way that policies can be put in place to help people from our community to gain access and continue to gain access. Because there's something called generational trauma. New children are born into this trauma. They inherit this trauma that had nothing to do with them. And this trauma again the origin of this trauma is enslavement of Africans and the brutal colonization of the African continent, the mother continent. Every other thing came from that. So that is that is where all of this is coming from. And then bringing it again to Black mental health, racial discrimination, workplace microaggression. We've have so many immigrants here that are complaining from stress from work. It could be my supervisor don't like me. It could be question like, what is your name? Where are you from? Where did you learn to speak English? How come your English is so, how come you're so smart? Because the stereotype is what we call that implicit bias. The stereotype is somebody like you is, how did you, because I watch your people on TV, they are naked. They live in the bush. How come you're so polished? How come you're so educated? So some of them they don't even understand. And then sometimes though, I used to wonder why they have that kind of stereotypes. Until I came here, I took time to understand, to watch the media and see what the images of Africa is in Western media. So when I watched closely, it kind of makes sense why they would think the way they think. Especially if you're somebody with a foreign name like me, Ogeh, or like you, Emeka, right? I can understand again why some of our people will come here and try to change their name, make it sound more English, right? Because they're trying to blend in, they're trying to assimilate into the system. They want to get their foot to the door. They don't want, if I'm applying for a job, if they see a name that they cannot pronounce, they kick me out. They want to get in. I can understand that. And I understand the stress that comes with that. So,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that is happening, and I hope, and these things, whether we want to believe it or not, it creates stress for people. It elevates tension for people. If you're not able to earn, if you're not able to pay rent, there's a fear that you could be homeless, which is another kind of distress on its own. If you have kids, oh my goodness, I cannot pay daycare. My child might lose his or her sport. Where is this money coming from? There's financial stress, there's money worries, there's income insecurity, there's financial distress. All of this, that is why marriages are falling apart. Most reasons why is finance. Money, money, money. And where is this money coming from? It is coming from a system that is not set up for us. It is a system that wants us to get the best of the best in qualification, but they want us to do jobs that are below the bed, that takes us below that poverty line. And we have to start speaking about this, because some people sometimes they have these implicit biases, these stereotypes about us without even knowing where it came from. If there's certain policies in place, then it helps us to mitigate some of these things that is going on. That is what I hope that we can achieve by having this conversation.
Well, thank you very much, Oge. Thank you. This is it's very obvious that you are not just an African, but you've been a part of this system. You've been here for a while, so you've gone through the nooks and crannies. You've experienced it to your marrow. Either you or someone that you know about the way that you were able to detail these things. My um, perception, my observation has been that the reasons for these are two. I'm hoping that you can enlighten, that you can share yours as well. But I see mine is I see the two factors. I feel like one, it's the minorities themselves, we ourselves. There's the I feel like we probably do not um one know when we are being marginalized, or when we are being subjugated, or when we are being trampled on the feet. I believe that um we do not know when we are being um, um taken advantage of. And I feel like that comes down to education. It's probably the fact that we are not really educated to know the thin line where, especially talking about like subtle um, discrimination or microaggression, when it's subtle, and considering the fact that we live in a place where people try to be very polite on all of those, so sometimes you don't know when you're being shoved, you don't know when you're being um, taken for granted, or when a job that was supposed to be meant for you is given to someone else, or a position that was supposed to be given for you given to someone else. Uh, I feel like if our people are a little more educated, I feel there's more education given out to them. Um, we probably would understand better, and then we will now be able to advocate for ourselves. So that's why I said I feel one of the major factors is education, because with education comes advocacy. When you are aware of your right, then you are likely able to speak up, and then so I feel like there should be structures in place by the government, or even by maybe minorities who have been here for way longer time. I believe that there should be NGOs, facilities, um, groups that are set to educate the minorities, the Black, the Africans, and other minorities as, hey, this is where these are policies in place that should help you know your left from your right, and know when know certain rights that are accrued to you, that you are entitled to as a citizen. Um, so that's why I believe that education is so important. If our people are educated, then it's easier for them to be able to advocate for themselves. Another thing I would like to say, still under the education, is the fact that some persons are educated, but I do not know why they've not really been able to advocate for them, for, I guess, for others, because sometimes maybe they advocate for themselves, but they do not advocate for the ones who haven't come to that knowledge, who haven't attained that knowledge, who haven't gotten that exposure. So oftentimes it looks like people come and they allow, they feel like the new immigrants to make a lot of mistakes, and then hoping that they'll wake up. And sometimes when you wake up, the system has already pushed you to like a very deep dungeon where it's a struggle to come out. And because life is happening, you're trying to rise up, you're trying to work 2 jobs is not enough. You're trying to work 3 jobs is not enough. Obviously, you are not coming back home on time. You're not having relationship with your spouse. You are not even having relationship with your kids. And in the 10 years that you've been working 2 or 3 jobs, you've actually lost the relationship that you have with your partner, married or not, or the relationship that you have with your kids. And so we have now absent fathers in homes. Why? Because they're trying to do 2 or 3 jobs, and yet even the 2 or 3 jobs to get to take home a good pay is not being taken home. There's not enough. So there's a disconnect, and you wonder why that. There's now suicide rates. Where the man sees that, listen, I'm not even meeting up. I'm having toxicity at work, and I'm even getting toxicity at home. Like, even the people I'm working for don't even seem to appreciate me. Why is it so? Because you're also working so hard, but you're not able to balance it. But you can't kill yourself. So you see, men are killing themselves. That's on suicide rate among the African community. I don't have all of the facts, but I know 1 or 2 persons who have gone through certain things, and you realize that when you track it down, track the suicide rate, or you track that person, you find that it's not just one thing, it's a conglomeration or amalgamation of a couple of things. At workplace, how they're being treated, or the fact that they're not earning enough as compared to their degrees and all of that. So I feel like you see how it all trickled, beginning from education and all of that. So I feel that people who are educated should try and not just advocate for themselves, but advocate for even other new immigrants who just come, so that they don't get in this rabbit hole or in this rat race that it takes 20 years for them to come out of it, and they may never even come out of it. That's one. Number two, I'm thinking also, which is it's the irresponsibility